Good evening and welcome. Yes, it's Friday, it's 8 o'clock, and that means it's time for Buster's Virtual Jazz Club. And I've got a fantastic guest for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But before I do that, I just have to say a very big special thank you to all my new Patreon supporters that signed up this week. So a big thank you goes out to Robin Hollister, to Adam Birch, my lovely brother, thank you mate, and also to Paul Dinage, and to Jim Lally, and to Jean Fuchs as well, who is also my lovely mother-in-law. So thank you. It's a bit of family support this week, and it's much appreciated, I must say. So yes, on to tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen, and it's another cracker. So we've got the wonderful Nikki Iles with us live in the internet studio, and we're going to be looking at all her fantastic output. She is a highly respected musician, equally as a performer, a composer and an educator, and is one of the leading figures of British jazz. She's won many awards, including the John Dankworth Special Award at the British Jazz Awards, the International Association of Jazz Educators Award for Outstanding Services to Jazz Education. She's an honorary associate of the Royal Academy of Music, and she's also won Best Pianist in the British Jazz Awards. Her new big band, which we're going to listen to a little bit later on, won Best Ensemble in this year's Parliamentary Jazz Awards. She's also won the Composition Prize for the Seattle Women's Big Band, and has also been awarded the Ivors Academy Gold Badge for outstanding contributions to music creators. I mean, that's some serious awards right there. Not only that, she's also been nominated for at least 11 other awards that I've counted up so far for her playing, her composing, and her education work. She's a professor of jazz in jazz piano in no less than 3 of the UK's top music conservatoires, and for many years has also been a tutor at the original UK Jazz Summer School. As well as being a busy performer, she's also a prolific composer and has received dozens of commissions from many different organisations, including the Royal Academy of Music, the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, the Creative Jazz Orchestra, the London Sinfonietta, Faber Music, Oxford University Press, and she's also written many of the exam pieces used by the Associated Board for their various piano grade exams. She's produced an incredible body of work, having recorded many albums with different ensembles, all featuring the cream of British jazz musicians, and writing so many compositions, more recently including pieces for her own large ensemble, the Nikki Iles Jazz Orchestra. We've only got time to dip into a small sample of her work, so please do visit her website to check out more of her great music, and the link for that is below. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the fantastic Nikki Iles. Hello Nikki, how are you?
Hello. Cheers to everybody. Friday
Cheers.
night.
She's got a glass of wine as well. How classy is that? Fantastic, wonderful. And thank you, Nikki. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your time with us. It's wonderful to see you and joining us this evening. We've just lost a little sunlight. So how are you? How's things? How's everything going? How's Pete and Imogen? I suppose we'll get that out of the way first. Are they doing all right?
It started. She's done her first week at the Royal Academy, in the jazz course there.
Is she enjoying it?
Yeah, she's loving it. Yeah, really.
She's doing great, isn't she? You must be so proud. I know Pete's in. Is he in Brussels?
Yeah, he managed to get there with all the forms and
yeah,
we're all in quarantine and he had
what a game.
Time.
Well, I'm hoping to get Pete on the show. So
Great.
we're trying to sort a date. I was texting him tonight actually, so we're going to try and get a date sorted out when he's not on the Eurostar. But what about you? How have you found the lockdown? Have you been flat out teaching on Zoom, or have you had some time to write? And has it been productive time, or has it just been a nightmare? Like, I know we're not playing, are we? There's no gigs, but
well, of course I'm massively missing playing and seeing friends and all that comes with that. But I think because I've got fingers in other pies, we have been we carried on teaching at the the conservatoires, and I was in the middle of a couple of books that I've been writing with Willem Simcock and Julian
Right.
Joseph and Jason Rebello, some books. So I've kind of got back into that, and so I did some kids' books for charity for Great Ormond Street and for the
Oh,
NHS.
wonderful. Yeah.
And also had a commission, the one you mentioned, which actually, I mean, I couldn't play the piano actually for about 6 weeks. I was kind of so gutted with what's happened. But that commission from the International Association, the Big Band Commission, and it really got me going again. So
Good.
yeah, I've done a lot of writing. So it's kind of like, I mean, it's not great, but
Yeah.
you know,
There's plenty to keep yourself busy
plenty
with,
to keep
isn't
me
there?
going. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, this we've got so much to look at, and we're going to just play a few snapshots of a few things from some of your different projects. But so I thought we'd start with this video, which is on your website. So we're going to just play a little clip from that, and if anyone
Yeah.
wants to check out the whole thing, it's there. And this is from the proms. So this is
Oh,
we're going to start with one of your big band arrangements, which was commissioned, I believe, by NIJO, the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, and it's your tune. It's a piece called Hush, which is the title from a trio album you did before that, but then you expanded it and arranged it for the full large ensemble. Is that right?
that's right. Yeah, I went to New York and did a trio record, and with the great Rufus Reid and Jeff Williams.
Well,
And
we're going to hear a little bit of that
yeah.
afterwards. So, but this is the title track from that album. But you got commissioned to write for the new, because I think NIJO were going through some changes, weren't they? And they had a new.
Right, they were just evolving, and Bill Ashton, who did a great, fantastic job, was retiring, and yeah, we just they were commissioning new music, so lots of people
Fantastic.
like Jason Yard and everyone got to have a go at writing a piece. So this is my offering.
And they performed it at the Albert Hall for the
Yeah,
proms, the BBC
yeah,
proms, and this is from 2012. So this is the National Youth Jazz Orchestra at the Albert Hall playing Hush, which is a composition by Nikki, which she also arranged for the band.
yeah.
That was, of course, Nigel, and that was Hush, performed at the Albert Hall. And we're here tonight live with Nikki Iles. So we have got the chat box open as well on YouTube. So I'd just like to say hello to everybody on there: Peter, Rachel, and Laura, and John, and David, and Coral. And there's a few familiar faces from our summer school in there, which is lovely to see. So do say hello on the chat box. If you've got any questions, I'll try and put them to Nikki. So, yeah, Nikki, fantastic music. It's amazing. Your big band writing, I think, is really distinctive. You've really developed a voice with your sound of the big band. But what I wanted to, we'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. I wanted to get into, like, how you got started and perhaps some of your early influences. And we'll start with maybe get into a bit of, like, playing piano and who how you got to play with all these great musicians and some of your. So I'm guessing, but from I shouldn't put words in your mouth. I do this, but I'm hearing kind of a bit of Bill Evans, a bit of John Taylor, a bit of like those sort of things. And were these big figures, or was there other people?
Yeah, they were. I mean, although to start with, for me, like many of us, it's our parents' record collection. My dad was a semi-pro drummer.
I see. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, so Nat Cole and George Shearing and Oscar were my first loves.
Fantastic. Right.
Yeah, touch and sound and swing and all that stuff. So, Night Train, all those albums and all those things. But then I think something really hit me when I heard Bill Evans, and because I'd studied at the Royal Academy as a clarinetist. As a kid, I went to the junior Saturday morning school. Yeah. So I've always loved classical music. So when I heard Bill Evans, there was something about the essence of his music that was probably more me in some ways. The sort of happy to be sad, a bit like Kenny Wheeler and Stan Getz, Chet Baker, Norma Winston, all the people I love. So I think Bill Evans really, turned my head or caught my ear, and I, when I go back to him now, he's the person I always go back to. Yeah. But I love, obviously, coming out of Bill Evans. I love Lenny Tristano. Yeah. I mean, so many piano players really. Jerry Allen really kind of. When she came on the scene with Paul Motion and Charlie Hayden, that album, it was just. I mean, it's not the way I play, but I just loved her.
There's a sound, isn't there?
Yeah,
and a touch there. And I think that, and I've always thought that, like, you've got this incredible sound on the piano. I mean, it's and there's something about your touch that's very distinctive. And I can only describe it as, like, you really sort of make the piano really sparkle as well. Like, there's a sort of, do you know what I mean? It really sort of sings, and it's a funny thing with piano because it's a piano, right? So, but there's something there's a lot in the touch of how you approach it, and I wonder how kind of conscious that is, or something you work on, or if is it something just a subconscious thing through what you're listening to and people that influence you, or there's a sound in your head already that you're hearing. Do you know what I mean when you're playing?
That's a great question, actually. It's funny. One of my students at the academy asked me that. He said, "I love your sound.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you've worked on it?" And actually.
I don't. Is it like I don't want to know? I might not be able to do it again.
It's the sort of thing. I think I sometimes think outside. Well, quite a lot of the time. And maybe this ties up with the big band. I think outside of the piano, in a way, as an orchestrator.
Yes.
Sometimes imagining lines coming out with different instruments, and I think I just listen to myself. I mean, I said to my student, sometimes we forget to actually listen to the sound we're making. So,
do you mean recording it when you're practicing, or you mean just being very aware?
Yeah, listen to how you're sounding from an outside ear in a way, and it's, I think I used to live in a very small house, 2 up, 2 down, and the guy used to come round at midnight when I was practicing and kind of rant, and I think I used to play very quietly, but. People often say, "Oh, she's got a soft touch," but actually, that's developed for me. And now, because I can get, when you're on a decent instrument, you can. But
you're not always like. It's not all light, is it? It's like you can.
It's like Bill Evans. People saying, "Oh, he's got that lovely soft touch." He's kind of really plays, and he has a massive sound.
Yeah, I've
Um,
heard you really dig in. I mean, like it's not just that's the only thing you do, is it? But like I think like there's a sound. I mean, I find this really interesting about as a musician, like what do you think of when you play, and like
yeah,
where does that sound come from? Is it
yeah,
it's like is it something? And the other thing is when you play with other musicians, I think jazz is particularly rich for this, where it can draw other things out of you. Maybe
yeah,
sometimes, like certain people will make you sort of plan a certain way or certain
yeah,
type of music, and
yeah,
then and then I think it's all coming from like you've got to hear it in your head, haven't you?
yeah.
Like before you play it.
Definitely, yeah, definitely hearing it. You know, you're trying to draw out something, aren't you? And that you're
Yeah.
imagining. Yeah, yeah, and sometimes again, I love to play. You know, I used to play with Pete King, which was like, like fast and furious, and that was some of my first experiences. And again, I
Was
love the
that at
kind.
Wakefield where you
Well,
because
I did
you?
whole tours. I mean, with him dying quite recently,
I
it was
didn't
really
realise
sad.
you toured with him. Yeah.
And there was
Yeah.
a club.
We. Sorry.
No,
Say
there
that one
just
time.
there was a club up in. He used to come up to. You know, we used to do big tours in the north. So it was all great stuff. You know.
We had Simon Spillett on last week, and we finished
Ah,
up with
yeah,
a little tribute to Peter King. So yeah, yeah, it's very much on all of our minds, isn't he, at the
yeah,
moment? So, um, but so then that you moved down to London at
yep.
some point, didn't you? Because I understand you were doing too much driving and had a bit of a run
A
in
bit,
one.
I fell asleep at the wheel and turned the
Yeah,
car. Yeah, it was a bit of a shock actually.
yeah, and
But
that's
there's a lot. I would have stayed in the north actually because it was a. I met people like Mike Walker, Ian Dixon, and the whole experience with the Creative Jazz Orchestra. I mean, I was in my late 20s and we were playing with Vince Mendoza and Anthony
Anthony
Braxton.
Braxton. Yeah,
All
yeah,
those people, and that honestly, that was life changing. And I actually,
yeah,
I did. Well, you know, I had a lesson with Vince Mendoza in the middle of the summer school about a month ago, and
yeah,
he must have been 30 and he's now nearly 60, and we were
yeah,
just reminiscing, and I actually said to him, you can't underestimate that experience, you know, of playing with a
yeah,
master at that age, well, any age,
yeah,
but it kind of
yeah.
really set me off thinking, you know, this big band thing. I think that's where the seeds were sown, really.
And that sound and that and going in that
Yeah,
direction of that sound. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to play another track. So we've got now we're going to look at because you know you've produced an amazing body of work. It really is. I mean, you probably don't sleep much. That's all I can say because the output is incredible with the composing and there's a lot of albums there and many albums with some very strong musical relationships that you form with some people like Stan Saltzman, Martin Speake, Tina May. We'll hear a little bit of some of those. But this I'm going to look at this album Hush now, which is a fantastic trio album that you made in 2011,
yeah,
and you went across to New York and you played in trio with some very heavyweight, American rhythm section players. Rufus Reid on the bass, who people may not know, but he played with Dexter Gordon and Stan Getz and Dizzy Gillespie and people like that. And then of course Jeff Williams on the drums, who lives in England now, but is from the States. Again, very heavyweight player, Joe Lovano, and you made this album in New Jersey, and I was reading up. It was the son, Tony Bennett's son.
yeah, that's right. Dave Bennett, yeah.
How did that come about? How did that connection?
Well,
Oh, it's just a.
Rupert, I think it was quite a local studio. It was a nice kind of big wood room, you know, and
It sounds great.
yeah, they kind of did a nice uh, um, unsigned artist deal, you know, so it made it a little bit cheaper if you weren't, if you weren't assigned to some big. Although I'm on Basho Records, but
Yeah,
it was the kind of jazzers, I suppose, to do it. And I
jazz
met.
rates.
It's funny because often people book, like a famous. They think, oh, I'll book a famous American, because I suppose they're guns for hire, aren't they? Really,
Well,
famous.
they're still paying bills, aren't they? I mean, this is what people don't
Yeah,
realise.
exactly.
These very famous musicians, and they're still trying to pay the rent. So,
Yeah. But I
but
kind of met Rufus on a. We both wrote for a small group out of the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and we had a week there with Stan Sotzman and Tim Garland. It was fantastic, and Rufus at 60 then was just starting out in composition, and he's an absolute kind of heavyweight, as you say, but was kind of new to writing, for bigger ensembles, and was so humble and lovely, and I got on so well with him. And he sort of said at the end of the week, if you ever fancy doing something, give me a ring. And I I thought he was making it up, but I did get in touch, and we made it happen. So it was through a friendship, I suppose, that developed.
Well, this is the great thing about music as well, isn't it? It's the connections. We talked about this. I've talked about this before as well. Sometimes, like when in jazz, it's the person, isn't it, that really counts. Like that affects that because you can have such an impact on the music. It's not like I'm not writing for bass. I'm writing for that and you play different. Or when you put a band together, you're not thinking, oh, I want a trumpet player. You're thinking, I want him, or her, or But I'm interested because like those two guys hadn't played before together. Is that right? Or they'd not recorded?
It's funny because they both played in Tom Harrell's band. They both played with Stan Getz, and they'd never met. So there was one lovely dinner the night before.
Oh well, so there was not much rehearsing or the usual kind of jazz kind of sort of.
God, it was like it was in the shed in Rufus's shed the night before, and in the shed was Mel Lewis's kit, from the Thad Jones time.
Amazing.
It was just and we sat having dinner and just hearing them two talk about they've never met, so it was really nice. It was a lovely experience.
So I'm sure they had. It sounds like you all had a great time. So we're going to play this track, Nardis, which is actually a Miles Davis composition, isn't it? But I believe he didn't record it. He wrote it for Cannibal, didn't he? But and this is a wonderful version of this that you've recorded. So this is from the album Hush, ladies and gentlemen, and this is. Nikki Iles on the piano and Rufus Reid on the bass and Jeff Williams on the drums. From 2011, Nardis. Yeah, and that is Nardis from the album Hush. All of Nikki's music you can get through her website, so do check out the links. The link is below, and there's a lot of albums and there's some great music on there. And of course, we're just getting little snapshots here. That's all we're going to be able to fit in. There's a lot to get through. So, Nikki, yeah, I just wanted to touch on a couple of. The next track we're gonna play is from an album with Tina May, who I know you've worked with a lot and recorded with a lot. And we were just chatting off air about how Tina likes to just, do it on the day and just, just turn up and play. And what a great musician she is as well.
Oh, she's a fantastic musician. Yeah.
And I think you've got a really great connection there as well. And you work together very well. But do you find that you play very differently when you work with singers to other instrumentalists, or within a trio situation? I know as a piano player it's quite a bit of a different role. I don't know if people are always aware of this.
I think I love working with singers because you have to put yourself aside in a way.
Yeah.
You're serving the song, and it's an art in that. I think
definitely
it's hard. And it's really to. You want to still be yourself, but also, play the right thing for the music they're singing, but also keep, a bit of yourself in there. So it's
a fine balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And save it for the solo as well sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, but the singers I work with, I think the ones I most enjoy, like Tina, obviously Norma, and I've been doing some gigs with Claire Martin and
she's good,
and even Pete. They really
Pete, even Pete, yeah, even Pete, yeah.
He's a great improviser.
I know he is. Yeah.
I know he's not a trained singer.
He's a great singer. Yeah.
No, he is. Yeah.
I love his scat singing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think all of those singers want your personality, and they let that some tunes can be very. It's more about the song. So we don't need a massive solo. Maybe just 8 bars that just playing the tune again. But then some things are let off the leash, and the.
Well, also I think they can handle it, can't they? Those guys you just mentioned, they're all like fantastic musicians, and that's something that maybe that confidence that gives you confidence then maybe to try something else that you wouldn't perhaps find another singer. I don't know.
Well, I think all piano players, all or guitarists, or trios actually, should work with singers, because it's all those things about heightened listening and being flexible, being able to, deharmonize your chords and then add chords. All those skills. They're just for everything, really. Tina was the first one, really. I was up north where I lived in Leeds, and she was one of the kind of big London or American stars that came up, and we got to work together, and and then she just asked me to join the band, so that was lovely.
Brilliant. And as a drummer, I could certainly say the same as well. I think it's very good training for drummers to play with singers, and to, not just from the brushes, but just that sense of playing the song, supporting and not getting in, but like being there but not in the way. So this album is from Wing and a Prayer, sorry. Yeah. It was going so well. Wing and a Prayer, and this is Maybe September. It's a beautiful ballad, and this album features Stan Saltzman on saxophone.
I think Stan's not on this track, but
he's not on this.
Stan's on it, and he plays absolutely beautifully.
Flute as well. Wow. Yeah, it's astonishing. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. But we'll hear some more. We'll hear from Stan later on another track. Yeah. So this is
actually this one, Buster. Just to say, this is the sort of slight Bill Evans connection, because it's a tune that was recorded on the Tony Bennett Bill Evans album. I've always loved it, and nobody ever does it.
Yeah, that's a magic album, isn't it? Yeah. And this is Maybe September
just for now.
With Tina May and Nikki Iles.
Maybe September I'll love again. Maybe a rainbow will catch me there. this little girl lost will find her way once more, just like before, when lips were tender. The shade of a willow where love was born, a face on a pillow in early morn. I still see that golden world in all its splendor. Maybe September love will come again. A taller tree, a sweeter luck, a bluer morning sky up above, and maybe come September I'll share these wonders with my love. A bluer morning sky up above, and maybe come September I'll share these wonders with my love.
I hope you're enjoying the show. I just want to take a moment to tell you about a new way that you can help support me do this, and that is through patreon.com. That's right, I've got an account now, so the link's below here, patreon.com Buster Birch, and if you go along to there, you can now make donations by Visa credit card, so you don't have to use PayPal if you don't want to do that. And the advantage of Patreon is that once you do it once, it will automatically deduct on a per show basis. So instead of having to fill in the forms every week, if you want to make a regular donation, then that will just automatically deduct straight to your credit card each per show. And that is hugely helpful to me because it means I know that I've got a certain amount coming in every time I do a show, and that really helps me plan ahead and keeps the viable sustainability of the show going. There's two levels of sponsorship. There's my silver and gold membership. All of my Patreon supporters will get a big thank you personally from me live on the show, and the gold member sponsors will get an additional Spotify playlist which will be sent to you each week, It's something that I'm putting together. It's personally curated by me and will feature lots more albums by the guest artists each week. So it's a great opportunity to get to know this music much better. If you're really enjoying the show and you like the little tasters that you're hearing, that's a great way to get to know this music even more and enjoy in full comfort the full sound of the full albums. Thanks very much. Back to the show. Yes, indeed. Back to the show. I'm here live with Nikki Iles, and we're getting a lot of comments now. It's great to see that in the chat box. So do pop your questions in and say hello. A lot of people asking about how they get hold of the music and all the albums you can purchase through Nikki's website, which is below. Or
you can.
Sorry,
some of them are Basho Records is
Basho.
record. Yeah, some of them are there. Or Jelly Mold is the Stan Salzman albums, and well, maybe I could as we go along.
I mean, we'll go through, but there's links on the website. But if you do join my gold membership Patreon supporters, then you'll get a Spotify playlist sent to you, which includes some of these albums, including that wonderful album Hush, because Nikki has a few albums on Spotify as well. So yeah, I mean, that was just beautiful, Nikki. A wonderful recording there, absolutely lovely tune. We're gonna. And we spoke about some of your other long, relationships you've had. I know you've done quite a few albums with Martin and Stan, who we're going to hear from as well. But now we're going to look at this fairly recent band that you've got, the Printmakers, which is it's fair to say it's an all-star British supergroup of amazing jazz musicians. How did And there's one album, isn't there, of from 2015? Is that right? Sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about doing. Again, lockdown stopped all that.
You're looking at something.
It started out with the Manchester Jazz Festival. Steve Mead, who runs that festival, well, he was a student at the summer school actually.
Right.
He's now runs the whole summer school. He's fantastic, and it's an international festival now.
Festival, yeah.
Yeah, and he said to me, just put on a gig with all your favourite musicians.
That's nice, isn't it? Yeah. Can have what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so and you kind of need that sometimes. You just try something out. It doesn't have to be fully formed or anything, So Norma did it. Mike Walker, who's, I go back many years with him. It was, amazing. And it wasn't quite the band that it ended up being in the end. But I think with Mike, Norma and Mark Lockhart, that kind of...
I mean, those are strong voices as well, aren't they? And, like in terms of, compositionally and as players and individual as artists. And so how does the music come together with the Printmakers? Is it like do you write the tunes and people, I mean, I imagine it's was it fairly collaborative kind of
it's fairly collaborative, and it's the sort of thing, the thing I love about this band, and it's really hard, especially finding drummers, because the first two drummers, mentioning no names, didn't work because I want it to be all like the things we love. So we love American jazz, we love classical music, we love folk music, we love free music. So it's all in there in a way, and finding people that cover, that don't, just happy to do that, being a great swing player, but also be able to play free. And
well, you narrow the field quite a lot, don't you, when you're including all those things? But also, you need people that you need to have that shared sort of listening and experience of playing, don't you? And that sort of shared vocabulary of music, maybe, and approach as well, because it can go in many directions, can't it? And this is it's a wonderful group. I mean, it's really quite a special band, isn't it? I think.
Well, it's a sort of thing. I mean, it's like you say, it's a very individual voice. I mean, the track we're going to play doesn't actually. It's Norma not in her normal singing a great song, but it's kind of more as an instrumentalist, which is great. But
which she's great at, yeah,
she's amazing. But I think, that band, and it's so free in some ways. We can play a very swingy. We could play a standard. We just throw out a standard one day, but. I think, James Madron, who's the drummer, said to me once, he said, I feel that the heart of it is me and Norma.
Oh.
And I suppose.
What, he said that about you, or he said that he said me? He didn't say me. He meant you, not him.
Yeah, me. Yeah, me. Yeah.
I feel the heart of this band is me. Yeah. No, I can't imagine him saying that. No, of course. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it is. So Norma and I have written some songs.
Yeah.
Things that composers that Norma works with, like Ralph Towner.
Yeah.
We've all worked with Kenny Wheeler.
Yeah.
John Taylor. So it's kind of then there's tunes by Paul Simon, Joni Mitchell, Steve Swallow, who Mike and Norma have worked with. So it's a kind of all our influences and people we're associated with in a way. So I didn't want it, in a way, I didn't want it to be all original, my stuff, because you kind of cut off so much great music. There's some things that we feel close, stuff we've written, but if we love a song, we'll play it, or a tune.
Oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And then it's a band as well, isn't it? Then and it works. Did this have this band done a lot of gigs? Did they tour? I mean,
yeah, we've done a lot of gigs. I mean, obviously there's 6 of us, and it's not a cheap band, but
no.
Because
I mean, I know you've played a lot together, like separately, but like it's when you come together with that particular unit, and then I think you do a whole bunch of gigs with that same lineup. I think something happens then with the music, doesn't it? I mean, you can all know each other very well for many years, but it's those ingredients coming together that make the whole thing something else.
Exactly. We never rehearse anything. We maybe have a quick run through on a sound check.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it feels really on the edge sometimes, and we don't.
Which is an exciting place to be if you trust the people around you.
That's at the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think all those players and James Madra. I mean, I love the span. James, when I first booked him, he was in a small band I was coaching at the Royal Academy, and we were doing some of my music, and Kit Downs was in the band, of course.
I know, it's me. Yeah.
But James really impressed me. He's kind of
very mature player. Even I heard him play I think he was still at college when I first heard him, and I was like, oh yeah, like this all there, that sound. And of course he played with Gwillem's trio as well, and Kit Down, as he said. And so for some of the listeners who may not know all these artists, I mean, it's a really all-star band. Norma Winston, ECM recording artist, Grammy nominated, MBE, Norma Winston on vocals. So people should really check out, with a incredible footprint on the history of British jazz as well. And of course Mike Walker, you mentioned, incredible musician, incredible voice, composer, really exciting player. We're going to see a little clip of Mike soloing on your big band at the end of this. And Mark Lockhart, again, a very distinctive voice with Loose Tubes, with Django, his own band, wasn't it? The Perfect Houseplants, that was it, yeah. And of course, Steve Watts on the bass, who's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. Steve Watts, we were actually talking about him the other day, weren't we? Saying like I guess it's a bit, it's maybe not a tag. He tends to get labelled with a lot as the linchpin of so many great British groups. It's just Steve's there, isn't he? And that sound, he has that sound on the bass. It's like his bass sound is kind of part of the music of the British jazz sort of sound, if you like. Anyway, so we're going to hear a little bit now. And this is a John Taylor composition.
Yes, it's a tune, and it's. I asked him. It's called Oh.
No.
And it's typical John. It's quite exciting and it's quite hard.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ones he would want you to sort of fall off, and it's quite funny, this one, because I'll tell you the story about this. And I think O means opening, so I quite like to open a set with this because it just kind of blows the cobwebs. Right. But when we sort of did the recording, for one thing we sort of decided to plan something, and my solo was going to break down.
Right.
But when I started breaking down, nobody went with me. So at the time I was thinking, oh God, what's happening? I was playing away and going all out. I was going out of time over the top of them playing in time. Okay. Right. nothing happened. So I thought, oh, I'll get back in, So in the middle of all this going on and me out of time and kind of going back, and I got back in, and I thought afterwards, oh God, we'll have to scrub that tape. And everyone loved it because they thought it was like really in the moment. And actually later on, I thought, yeah, it's true, because I was really, my ears kind of flapping, and I was thinking, oh my God, and I found my way out,
Amazing, yeah. And then when you hear it back afterwards, it's not. It sounds different to how you remember it being. Like at the time, you're thinking, "Oh,
it's exciting."
Exciting indeed, absolutely. Well, it's a great check. So we're going to hear that. This is from the album. Is called Westerly, and it's from 2015, and it's with this amazing group, the Printmakers, and this is called Oh. And that was Oh by the Printmakers from the album Westerly. Absolutely another fantastic album, so well worth checking out. And I'm here live with Nikki Iles. We've got some nice comments in the chat box, so do put your questions in. That was, yes, John Quinn asked, is that Mark Lockhart on soprano? Yes, it was indeed.
Yeah,
Mark
well done,
Lockhart.
John.
Well done, John. So what we're going to do now is go back a little bit to another great band, and hear something from Veils, which was an album from 2003, again featuring Stan Saltzman. We're going to a bit of Stan now on the saxophone, and this has got Mike Outram on guitar, wonderful guitarist, another very strong voice, distinctive voice, and Mick Hutton on the bass, and Anthony Micheli on drums. I don't know Anthony's. So how did this band come about?
Well, it was actually a commission from Sheffield Jazz, who were fantastic. Yeah, they were just they really were supportive of me, Jude Sacker, and in the early days, and they commissioned me to write something about Sheffield. So I wrote a whole suite with A.S. Byatt's short stories, and so this was one, Beauteous Beast, isn't it?
Beauteous Beast, yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny old story. I got a terrible Guardian review from that gig. So, because all the
you've got a lot of very nice reviews to balance that up, so I won't worry about it too much.
No, but it was the guy came in the middle of me telling the stories, because these A.S. Byatt the short stories are kind of modern fairy tales, and this particular tune was about a guy who had this snake in this pool. It was like a sort of David Hockney pool, you know, and the snake turns into another man. It's two men, and they have a kind of relationship. But this snake is just kind of weird, you know. And I was telling the audience about the story, and the guy came in, and then the Guardian review said I was totally bizarre or something. You know? But it was great. It was a band I put together. Mick Hutton is one of the best bass players in our country. You know, he played with the John Taylor Trio. He also played. Then he could play with Humph. He played.
He could do anything, couldn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strong as well. Very strong player to play with. I've played with him a couple of times. Fortunate to play with him. Was fortunate. You know, have been fortunate to play with him a couple of times. And yeah, his time is just incredible, and his musicianship and that thing of just getting the sound out of that big blooming wardrobe of wood. Do you know what I mean? Like it's incredible sound, isn't it? Yeah. So
Anthony Micheli, the drummer, who sounds great on this actually.
It sounds.
The sound of his kit, and I met him. Martin Speake formed a band. He met two musicians in Banff, which is a very famous summer school that Steve Coleman and people like Kenny Wheeler and Dave Holland, all these people ran. Martin Speake was a student there and met.
This is in Canada, right?
Yeah, in the Rockies.
In the Rockies.
In the Rockies. So lots of people, lots of really famous musicians now studied there.
Right.
And Martin met Anthony Micheli and Duncan Hopkins, who were bass and drums, and they asked me to join this quartet. So I did quite a lot of tours. We went to Canada and everything, and I also recorded another trio album with the two Canadians called Everything I Love.
Yeah.
And so I thought I could hear Anthony on this music. Again, it's that thing of, you know, a drummer that can cover a lot of things, and he was really open, and so I put over and he did the album.
Fantastic, wonderful. So we're going to hear a track from that, and again, I think this shows another little side of your playing as well. It's very strong, very digging in, and a nice contrast to some of those softer ballads that we heard earlier, and showing a bit of a range of your playing, I think, on this track, and you know, it's easy to see why you've won all these awards. And
well, I don't do a solo on this one, but it's kind of, I suppose, the composition, isn't it? Kind of a bit more.
Well, it's just it's the sound though, isn't it? I think it's just hearing you in another setting is really it's really nice to hear you in that other setting as well. So this is Beauteous Beast, and it's from the album Veils from 2003.
It's Symbol Records.
And that was Beauteous Beast, and with another great lineup and another great album. So do check out this music. So we're getting to the end of the show now, ladies. We've got just time for a couple more tracks with my guest, the wonderful Nikki Iles. The time flies past on these shows. It really does. And I just wanted to, talk a little bit more about your writing and composing, and this, in particular, this new project that you had just got going before the lockdown kind of hit. And over the last few years, we mentioned about you've had a few commissions for larger ensembles, and you've written for the Royal Academy students and the Nijo band, and I think so. At some point, there was obviously a feeling where you wanted to explore that further. Or was there a commission, or what kind of brought about the new band?
I think when you have a commission, I mean, I suppose I like to think about the people you're writing for. Like for Nijo, the new kind of development, I wanted to write something new and fresh that was me, but also kind of, I don't know, write something that's familiar to them as well, so it's not completely out there, So it's never quite for your own band, Yeah. So I just haven't had the time because I've been busy and to think right. And it's also a bit of a mad idea, isn't it, having your own band in this kind of day and age? A big band. A
big band, we should say, yeah, and a full orchestra. Like it's no mean feat. Just just getting and let's say, I mean, maybe a lot of people don't realize this is like a real all-star orchestra as well. There's a lot of heavyweight players in you who I understand were only too happy to just come along and play this music for you, and who so getting that lineup together is no mean feat. And I think it's testimony to your writing, and that these people were just were so happy to come along and play your music. So did you have the lineup already, or was it it kind of
Well,
it's an evolution? I mean, I'm guessing these things don't happen overnight, do they?
no, they don't. And actually, it was the Vortex, Kim Macari Stone, that said, "Right, here's a date." So it's like, right,
That'll do it.
yeah, I've got to get it together. So yeah, I mean, I kind of, I wanted to sort of have a mixed age group of band, that kind of thing, of people from all parts of my life in a way. So like Steve Watts and Mike Walker, very much part of my sound, I suppose. I wasn't sure whether I was going to play. It's a
Right.
bit of a funny one. But I also brought Andy Schofield back from.
Yeah.
He lives in Prague now. He was in one of my first bands.
He's a great player, isn't he? Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I've got a couple of students that I taught at the Royal Academy on trombone, and Gordon Campbell, who's like the most experienced trombone player, one of the most experienced in the country.
Yeah.
So he has his little kind of coterie with Richard Henry as well. So they're learning also. And Tory Freestone's a great flute. Because I write a lot of woodwind parts as well. So again, finding people that
Can double it, yeah.
it doubles, yeah.
Yeah.
And having someone like Karen Sharp, who's fantastic.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And probably maybe in a more contemporary band, there may be other people that would be considered. Maybe, I don't know, but I thought, no, she's brilliant.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
so
Yeah,
she's in it, and Julian Siegel, and the trumpet section's great with Nick Smart and Henry Lowther from Kenny's band,
And then a couple of younger players from the academy as well, isn't it? So again, you've got that generational kind of thing. I think there's some of Nick's students in there as well. And
I don't know if really a big band needs a conductor. I mean, we did in the first, because we've only done a couple of gigs, but I managed to get an arts council tour and a big tour, 11-date tour, which all got blown out because of COVID, which was a bit kind of devastating. But so I had to conduct the first gig because it would have fallen apart, I think. But I'm thinking I can do it. I'd like to play, actually. And as we go along, I mean, they're all amazing musicians, so it just needs somebody to cue a few things. But also, I think it's important as a woman that, I mean, there aren't. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a British woman do a tour of all her own writing in a big band. I've never seen it in all these years, which is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, again, coming, with you've obviously I'm hearing some flavours of Kenny Wheeler in there, obviously, and in terms of your influences, perhaps Gil Evans a bit as well. But I think you've definitely got a voice with this band and this sound, and it's really quite something. And that in itself is an achievement, isn't it? I mean, are you consciously thinking when you're writing, or is it just I'm hearing this sound and I want to get it down, or I'm thinking of them? Maybe thinking of those musicians and how they would work together and the sound that would create, and trying to capture that in your writing. I'm just wondering what the kind of process is, really, I suppose.
Well, I'm not thinking at all about I want to sound like this or that.
No,
it's
I'm
just
sure.
coming out of me, definitely.
Yeah.
Very much out of a compositional starting point. But things come out. I'm owning my influences on my sleeve. I'm not embarrassed about that. But,
No, I don't know. Of course not. No, it's just.
I don't know. The thing about, like Ellington and Kenny, I definitely write for the musicians I know, and I want them to enjoy things. But it's funny, having that lesson with Vince Mendoza, he said, don't.
He said, don't do that.
Yeah, he said.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, no, he said,
Yeah.
He said, write the music that you want to write and bring them to the music.
Bring them to the music.
I can see that. But, like the Maria Schneider approach, it's getting people to, getting your band to play, understand your the way you want it. So I think I need to kind of bridge that gap a little bit. But I want them to enjoy playing and play what they do well. And I know their sounds, so most of them, so It's in my
Yeah,
ear.
it's like you can't not hear them, can you? Having had such long, played with these guys for so long on so many different things, and it must be thrilling just to bring them all together as well.
Well, it's just like I often say, it's kind of the stage you get to after doing all your small band things, and then you suddenly hear your tunes in full Technicolor, and it's just mind blowing.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, great treat. So we're gonna this band. So we're talking about the Nikki Iles Jazz Orchestra. Okay, and this is has an album been done, or there's just pieces that have been recorded? Because we've got this track Wild Oak, right? And this was this another commission?
Yeah, this was from the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, where there's an album coming out called She Said, and it's featuring women writers and performers. So, but I dedicated this piece to Jerry Allen, the great pianist. And again, I didn't want to copy her. Didn't want to copy her, there's no point. But I definitely took some of the essence of her music and what the things when I first heard her. And
that's what we do, isn't it? It's an inspiration of a feeling as much as a sound and everything as well.
Yeah. So the sort of opening is it's like brooding chords that she has. These lovely. Well, I tried to do my own thing of it, sort of these kind of lovely voice leading and kind of some crunchy things, but the whole thing, I didn't want to start with any harmony really, because it's so easy as a piano player. So the whole, when the fast bit starts, you'll see it's all splashes of colour, and it's all on a D groove, which is the first tune I ever heard her play, which was Lonely Woman by Ornette Coleman. D drone. Yeah. So I thought, right, D drone, and then see where it takes me. So lots of splashes of colour with muted trumpets, and then a tune emerges, and so it's
fantastic. And this and on this recording, who was it? That it was that band that recorded this.
Yeah, well, actually, it wasn't my band, but Nigel did a great job for this album.
This is Nigel.
Yeah, so this is Nigel. I mean, you think they're young musicians?
I know.
Fantastic.
It's amazing, isn't it? So okay, so this is Wild Oak, and if you want, you can check the score as you go along as well, because it's on the video. Here we go.
they want to listen.
And that was Wild Oak there, and I'm sorry to fade that, Nikki, but we are fast running out of time. I just want to get one last little track in. So yeah, so that's on YouTube if people want to check out the rest of that track. So, well, it's absolutely flown past, and it's been absolutely lovely to have you on, Nikki. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your music with us, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have, yeah.
It's been great to see you.
Great.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, do check out Nikki's website. There's lots more music on there, lots more information about her compositions. She's got a lot of books for piano music. We mentioned briefly that you've written a lot of the compositions for the exam syllabus as well. And there's plenty of material if you want to see more of Nikki's music. So that just leaves us time to say thanks and good night. And we're going to play out now with a little bit of video. And I took a little edit from a video. This video, so the full video's on your website. And this is actually from the gig you did with the band. Was it in November?
Yeah.
Just before.
At the Vortex. Yeah.
At the Vortex. So this was the inaugural.
That's
gig.
right, the inaugural.
The inaugural gig, and the only time you got everything together, wasn't it? So it's a stellar lineup. Again, it's just absolutely an all-star band. And again, it was a fantastic night. I remember it was being. I was working. I would have loved to have come down. I remember everybody raving about it. Everybody's excited. Full house at the Vortex, and so this is a little clip from Red Ellen is the track, and there's a little snip. There's a fade on the video. It's not me. There's a trumpet solo by Nick Smart, who was on the show a few shows back, and a little bit of Mike Walker on the guitar as well. And so this is great. So thanks very much, everybody. Next week is Liam Noble, amazing piano player. So that'll be a lot of fun. Once again, that just leaves me to say thank you to Nikki. Thanks for coming along. And take care of yourselves. We'll leave you with this, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks, bye.